In the vast emptiness of space, where stars shimmered like diamonds scattered across black velvet, a council of alien leaders gathered aboard their orbital citadel. This grand structure floated in the heart of the Andromeda Galaxy, its gleaming spires and glowing energy cores a testament to the advanced civilizations that had built it. For centuries, the Galactic Council had watched Earth from afar, observing humanity with a mix of curiosity and disdain. To them, humans were little more than primitive creatures, short-lived, violent, and chaotic. They were not ready for the galactic stage. But everything changed on a quiet day when an ancient signal echoed through the cosmos. Deep beneath the red sands of Mars, a team of human explorers worked tirelessly inside a newly discovered cavern. Their mission was simple: uncover evidence of water or microbial life. What they found instead was something far greater, a strange device buried under layers of rock and dust. It looked like no natural formation. Its metallic surface glowed faintly, etched with symbols unlike anything seen before. When one of the scientists accidentally activated it, the device hummed to life, sending out a pulse of energy that rippled across the solar system and beyond. The signal traveled faster than light, carrying fragments of data encoded in patterns too complex for human understanding. Within hours, the Galactic Council detected it. At first, they dismissed it as interference, a glitch in their sensors. But when the signal repeated itself, stronger this time, they realized the truth. Humanity, those supposedly backward beings, had somehow awakened technology far beyond their level of development. Inside the council chamber, debates erupted. Representatives from dozens of species argued fiercely about what to do next. Some called for immediate intervention, fearing humanity might misuse such powerful tools. Others urged caution, warning that direct contact could destabilize Earth's fragile societies. Among them was Kale, a tall, silver-skinned ambassador from a peaceful aquatic race. He spoke calmly but firmly, urging his peers to observe rather than act rashly. "We know so little about them," Kale said, his voice resonating through the chamber. "They are unpredictable, yes, but also resilient. Perhaps we should learn more before deciding their fate." Meanwhile, back on Earth, news of the discovery spread quickly. Governments scrambled to control the narrative, while conspiracy theories flooded social media. Few understood the true significance of the beacon, or the eyes now fixed upon their planet. In secret bunkers hidden beneath mountains and deserts, military leaders whispered about preparing for the worst. If aliens existed, would they come in peace, or would they see humanity as a threat? As days passed, the Council continued to monitor Earth closely. They studied satellite images, intercepted radio transmissions, and analyzed every piece of data they could gather. What they saw confused them further. Humanity was divided. Nations clashed. Ideologies warred. And yet there were moments of brilliance. Art, science, and innovation flourished despite the chaos. Could such a paradoxical species truly pose a danger? Or was their unpredictability their greatest strength? Little did the Council know, humanity was already building something extraordinary. Hidden away from prying eyes, engineers worked around the clock on a project decades in the making, a battleship unlike any other. Powered by reverse-engineered alien tech and armed with weapons capable of leveling cities, it represented both hope and hubris. Its creators named it Aegis, after the shield of ancient myths. For now, though, the Council remained unaware of Aegis. All they knew was the beacon, and the unsettling realization that humanity might be far more than they had ever imagined. And so, the galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Back on Earth, the discovery of the Martian beacon sent shockwaves through governments and scientific communities. While the public remained largely unaware of its true significance, whispers of alien technology reached the ears of those in power. In a secure underground facility beneath the Nevada desert, a secretive branch of the United Nations known as Project Prometheus worked tirelessly. For decades, they had been studying fragments of crashed UFOs, piecing together advanced alien tech to create something unprecedented, a weaponized starship. The project's leader, Dr. Samuel Hayes, paced anxiously in front of a massive screen displaying schematics of their prototype vessel. Dubbed Aegis, the ship was unlike anything humanity had ever built. Its sleek, angular design glinted under harsh fluorescent lights, while glowing blue energy conduits pulsed along its hull like veins. Aegis wasn't just fast, it was powered by quantum fusion, a technology reverse-engineered from alien artifacts. It could travel at speeds that defied human comprehension and wield weapons capable of obliterating entire fleets. But Aegis wasn't meant for war, at least not initially. The original plan was to use it as an exploration vessel, a way for humanity to step into the stars and announce their arrival with pride. However, recent events forced Project Prometheus to reconsider, with the beacon's activation drawing unknown attention from beyond the solar system. Paranoia set in. What if hostile aliens came looking? Could humanity defend itself? Captain Elena Vasquez stood beside Hayes, her sharp eyes scanning the ship's specs. A decorated naval officer handpicked to lead Aegis' maiden voyage, she carried herself with quiet confidence. Her dark hair was tied back neatly, and her uniform bore no medals, only rank insignias. She didn't need decorations. Her reputation spoke for itself. When Hayes asked her to take command, she accepted without hesitation. This mission wasn't just about duty, it was about survival. "We're sending you out there blind," Hayes admitted, his voice heavy with concern. "We don't know who or what is watching us, but we can't sit here waiting for answers." Vasquez nodded firmly. "Understood, sir. If anyone's coming our way, we'll find them first." Preparations moved quickly. Engineers ran final diagnostics on Aegis systems, while pilots trained rigorously in simulators designed to mimic zero-gravity combat. Supplies were loaded onto the ship, including food, medical equipment, and enough fuel to sustain months of travel. Security teams armed themselves with experimental plasma rifles, though everyone hoped diplomacy would prevail over violence. As launch day approached, tensions mounted. Rumors spread among the crew about why they were being sent so far from home. Some believed they were chasing the source of the beacon's signal. Others thought they might encounter extraterrestrial life. No one knew for sure, but all shared a sense of unease. Humanity had never ventured this far into space before, not with such high stakes. Finally, the moment arrived. Under the cover of night, Aegis launched from its hidden hangar, ascending through Earth's atmosphere in a blaze of light. From orbit, the ship turned toward deep space, its engines roaring as it accelerated beyond the moon. Inside the cockpit, Vasquez gripped the controls tightly, her heart pounding with both excitement and fear. Behind her sat Lieutenant Marcus Chen, the ship's navigator, and Commander Sofia Alvarez, head of security. Together, they formed the core team tasked with representing humanity to whatever awaited them. For hours, Aegis drifted silently through the void, its sensors scanning for signs of activity. Then suddenly, alarms blared. On the main monitor, a faint blip appeared, a fleet of ships moving rapidly toward their position. "They found us," Chen whispered, his voice trembling. Vasquez clenched her jaw. "Steady. Let's see what they want." What happened next would change everything, for humanity, for the galaxy, and for the fragile balance of power between worlds. The crew of Aegis stared at the monitor, their hearts racing as the blip grew larger. Within moments, a fleet of alien ships emerged from the darkness of space, their sleek designs glowing faintly with intricate patterns of light. The vessels were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Smooth, organic curves blended seamlessly with sharp edges, giving them an almost predatory appearance. They moved in perfect formation, surrounding Aegis like hunters circling prey. Captain Elena Vasquez's voice cut through the tension. "Hold your positions," she ordered, her tone calm but firm. "No aggressive maneuvers unless I say so." Lieutenant Marcus Chen adjusted the sensors, trying to gather more data on the approaching fleet. "They're scanning us, Captain," he reported. Their energy signatures are off the charts. Commander Sofia Alvarez stood by the weapons console, her hand hovering over the controls. "Should we arm ourselves?" she asked, her eyes locked on the screen. "Not yet," Vasquez replied. "We don't know if they're hostile. Let's not make assumptions, or enemies." As the alien ships closed in, one broke away from the group and drifted closer to Aegis. Its surface shimmered, shifting colors like oil on water. Suddenly, a bright beam shot out from the vessel, striking Aegis shields. The impact rocked the ship, sending alarms blaring throughout the cockpit. "What the hell was that?" Alvarez shouted, gripping the edge of her seat. "They fired on us," Chen exclaimed, his fingers flying across the keyboard. "Shields are holding, for now." Vasquez's jaw tightened. "Return fire only if necessary. We need to show restraint." But before anyone could react further, another blast hit Aegis, this time stronger than the first. Sparks flew from control panels, and the lights flickered ominously. The crew braced themselves as the ship shuddered violently. "They're not here to talk," Alvarez growled, her patience wearing thin. "Permission to retaliate." Vasquez hesitated for a split second before nodding. "Permission granted. Target their weapons systems. Disable, don't destroy." Alvarez didn't waste a moment. With a swift motion, she activated Aegis' experimental plasma cannons. A brilliant blue beam erupted from the ship, slicing through the void and striking the lead alien vessel. The effect was instantaneous. The alien ship's weapons array exploded in a shower of sparks and debris, leaving it crippled but intact. The rest of the fleet paused, seemingly stunned by the unexpected retaliation. For beings who likely viewed humanity as primitive, the sheer power of Aegis weaponry must have been shocking. Another alien ship attempted to fire back, but Aegis' advanced targeting systems anticipated the attack. A second volley from the plasma cannons tore through the vessel's engines, rendering it immobile. "Direct hit," Chen announced, relief evident in his voice. "They're retreating." Indeed, the remaining ships began pulling back, their once confident formations breaking apart as they fled into the depths of space. The entire encounter lasted less than 10 minutes, but it felt like an eternity to the crew of Aegis. Vasquez exhaled slowly, her hands still gripping the controls. "Damage report," she demanded, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Minor hull breaches on Deck 4, Alvarez replied, checking the diagnostics. "No casualties. Shields are down to 60%, but they'll hold." Chen leaned back in his chair, wiping sweat from his brow. "What just happened? Why did they attack us without warning?" Vasquez frowned, staring out at the empty void where the alien fleet had vanished. "I don't know," she admitted, "but whoever they are, they underestimated us. Big mistake." Unbeknownst to the crew, the skirmish had been observed by others. Light years away, aboard the Galactic Council's Citadel, representatives watched the battle unfold in stunned silence. The Council had sent the reconnaissance fleet to assess Aegis, not to engage. Yet one overzealous commander had acted impulsively, firing first and asking questions later. Ambassador Kale turned to his fellow council members, his expression grim. "This changes everything," he said softly. "Humanity is no longer a distant curiosity. They are a force to be reckoned with." And so, the galaxy learned a hard lesson. Humanity might be young and inexperienced, but when pushed, they would fight back, with devastating consequences. The aftermath of the skirmish left the crew of Aegis shaken but resolute. Captain Elena Vasquez stood in the center of the cockpit, her arms crossed as she stared at the empty space where the alien fleet had disappeared. The ship's systems hummed softly around her, a stark contrast to the chaos that had erupted just moments ago. Despite their victory, there was no celebration, only questions. "What now?" Lieutenant Marcus Chen asked, breaking the silence. His voice carried a mix of exhaustion and unease. "Do we chase them, or wait for reinforcements?" Vasquez shook her head firmly. No chasing. We stick to our mission. Whoever those aliens were, they weren't acting alone. Someone sent them, and I want answers." Before anyone could respond, the communications panel lit up with an incoming transmission. Static crackled over the speakers before resolving into a clear, melodic voice speaking in flawless English. "This is Ambassador Kell of the Galactic Council," the voice said. "We mean you no harm. Please stand down your weapons and prepare for dialogue." The crew exchanged stunned glances. The Galactic Council. It sounded official, too official to ignore. Vask stepped closer to the console, her expression unreadable. "Who, or what, is the Galactic Council?" she asked aloud, though not expecting an answer. "They're probably the ones who sent those ships," Commander Sofia Alvarez muttered, still eyeing the weapons controls warily. "What if this is a trap?" "We'll proceed cautiously," Vasquez replied. Turning back to the transmission, she activated the microphone. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the human starship Aegis. Identify yourselves and explain why your forces attacked us without provocation." There was a brief pause before Kale responded. "Our sincerest apologies, Captain Vasquez. That attack was unauthorized, a grave mistake made by an overzealous commander. We seek only peaceful communication. Will you meet with us aboard our citadel?" Vasquez hesitated. Trusting strangers from another galaxy felt reckless, especially after what had just happened. But refusing could escalate tensions further. She glanced at her crew, silently seeking their input. Chen nodded slightly, while Alvarez gave a reluctant shrug. "Agreed," Vasquez finally said. "But under one condition. My team accompanies me, and we bring Aegis within range for immediate support." Cal's tone softened, almost amused. "A wise precaution, Captain. We will transmit coordinates shortly." Hours later, Aegis approached the Galactic Council's citadel, a breathtaking structure that seemed to defy physics. Floating in the void, it shimmered with iridescent colors, its spires reaching outward like the branches of a cosmic tree. Energy flowed visibly through its core, pulsating with life. Even Alvarez, usually stoic, couldn't hide her awe. As Vasquez and her team boarded a shuttle to dock with the Citadel, nerves ran high. They wore standard-issue uniforms, but carried concealed sidearms, just in case. Stepping onto the council chamber floor, they found themselves surrounded by dozens of alien representatives, each more bizarre than the last. Some floated above their seats, others communicated through glowing symbols projected into the air. At the center stood Kale, his silver skin gleaming under soft light. "Welcome, Captain Vasquez," Kale said, inclining his head respectfully. "You have proven yourselves formidable." Vasquez met his gaze evenly. "Formidable enough to earn your attention, apparently. Why monitor Earth from afar instead of making contact sooner?" Kale hesitated, exchanging glances with other council members. "Your species is unpredictable, violent. Your history of conflict alarmed us. We feared engaging too soon might destabilize your world or ours." Vasquez raised an eyebrow. "And yet here we are. Because of your overzealous commander, humanity now knows you exist. What happens next depends on how honest you're willing to be." Her word hung in the air, bold and unyielding. For all their advanced technology, the council members seemed unsettled by her confidence. Humanity wasn't supposed to act this way, certainly not during first contact. Kale leaned forward, his expression serious. "Then let us begin anew, Captain. Tell us about your kind. Show us that humans can be more than what we feared." Vasquez didn't smile. She knew diplomacy was fragile, built on trust neither side fully believed in yet. But as she looked around the room, meeting the curious stares of beings who once thought humanity unworthy of notice, she realized something important. They were afraid of her people, not because humans were weak, but because they were strong. And that realization changed everything. The council chamber was tense, a delicate balance of curiosity and caution hanging in the air. Captain Elena Vasquez stood tall before the assembled alien representatives, her presence commanding despite being outnumbered by species far older and more advanced than humanity. Ambassador Kale gestured for her to speak, his silver eyes reflecting both intrigue and unease. Vasquez took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. "You've watched us from afar," she began, her voice steady but firm. "You see our wars, our divisions, and assume we're nothing but chaos. But what you don't understand is that humanity thrives on challenge. We adapt, we overcome, and when pushed, we unite." Kale tilted his head slightly, as if considering her statement. "Adaptation is admirable, Captain, but it does not erase history. Your kind has waged countless conflicts against each other and your own planet. How can we trust you won't bring that violence into the stars?" Before Vasquez could respond, Lieutenant Marcus Chen stepped forward, holding up a tablet displaying images of Earth's achievements. "Look closer," he said, his tone respectful but insistent. "Yes, we've made mistakes, but we've also created art, music, science. We've explored the depths of our oceans and climbed the highest mountains. We've dreamed of reaching the stars long before today." Commander Sofia Alvarez crossed her arms, adding bluntly, "And now we're here. Not because you invited us, but because we built something powerful enough to get us here ourselves. That should tell you something about us." The council murmured among themselves, clearly divided. Some seemed impressed by humanity's resilience. Others remained skeptical. One representative, a towering insectoid creature with shimmering wings, spoke up, its voice sharp and metallic. "Power without control is dangerous. You say you dream of unity, yet your world remains fractured. What guarantees do we have that you won't turn your weapons on us next?" Vasquez locked eyes with the insectoid ambassador, refusing to flinch. "No guarantees," she admitted. "But consider this. Humanity isn't the only unpredictable force out there. There are factions within my own government who already know about your existence, and they don't share my desire for peace. If word spreads unchecked, it could spark panic or even aggression back home." A ripple of concern passed through the council. Kale leaned forward, his expression grave. "What exactly are you saying, Captain?" "I'm saying time is running out," Vasquez replied. "If you want to avoid conflict, you need to work with me. Humanity will step into the galaxy whether you like it or not. The question is, will we do so as allies or enemies?" Her words struck a nerve. For all their technological superiority, the council realized they were dealing with a wild card, a species capable of both destruction and innovation. Humanity's unpredictability made them a potential ally or a devastating foe. Kale exchanged glances with his fellow ambassadors before addressing Vasquez again. "Very well, Captain. Let us move forward cautiously, but know this. Any deception on your part will be met with swift consequences." Vasquez nodded, satisfied for now. As the meeting adjourned, she and her team returned to their shuttle, their minds racing with possibilities. Back aboard Aegis, Alvarez voiced what everyone was thinking. "They're scared of us," she said, leaning against the cockpit wall. "Good. Maybe fear will keep them honest." Chen frowned, tapping at his console. "Or maybe it'll make them desperate. Did you see how some of them reacted? They're already planning something." Vasquez stared out at the glowing citadel in the distance, her jaw set. "Then we stay ready. Whatever happens next, humanity's future depends on us playing this smart." Little did they know, forces beyond the council were already moving. Hidden factions within Earth's governments monitored every transmission between Aegis and the aliens, analyzing data and plotting their next move. General Marcus Hale, leader of a rogue military group, watched the footage of the council meeting with cold determination. "They think they can negotiate," he muttered to himself, a cruel smile spreading across his face. "We'll show them what humanity really is." As tensions simmered on both sides, one thing became clear. First Contact had opened Pandora's box, and there would be no closing it now. Back aboard Aegis, the crew worked to process everything they had learned during their meeting with the Galactic Council. Captain Elena Vasquez paced the command deck, her mind racing as she replayed Kel's words in her head. The Council's cautious acceptance of humanity felt fragile, like a thin sheet of ice ready to crack under pressure. But what worried her more was the growing sense that not everyone on Earth shared her vision of peaceful coexistence. Unbeknownst to Vasquez and her team, General Marcus Hale, a high-ranking officer within Project Prometheus, had intercepted every transmission between Aegis and the Council. From his secret command center deep beneath Colorado, Hale watched the footage of Vasquez standing before the alien ambassadors, speaking of unity and cooperation. His lips curled into a sneer. Cooperation, he muttered to himself, slamming his fist against the console. They're naive if they think aliens will ever see us as equals. Hale had spent decades preparing for this moment, not to negotiate but to dominate. To him, humanity's survival depended on asserting its strength early and decisively. He believed the Council's hesitation stemmed from fear, and fear could be exploited. If humanity struck first, it would send a clear message. Earth was no one's pawn. With ruthless efficiency, Hale mobilized a second prototype vessel hidden even from Vasquez's knowledge. Dubbed Spectre, the ship was smaller than Aegis, but equally deadly, equipped with experimental weaponry designed to disable entire fleets. Its mission was simple: eliminate the Council before they could impose restrictions or treaties on humanity. Meanwhile, aboard the Council's Citadel, Ambassador Cale reviewed recordings of the meeting with concern. Humanity's unpredictability unnerved him, but Hale's actions only confirmed his worst fears. When Spectre emerged near the Citadel without warning, launching an unprovoked attack, chaos erupted. Energy blasts tore through the station's outer defenses, sending shockwaves rippling through the structure. Alarms blared as council members scrambled for safety. Cale shouted orders to his security forces, demanding retaliation, but the Council's pacifist policies left them ill-prepared for such aggression. On Aegis, Vasquez received an urgent distress signal from the Citadel. Her heart sank as she listened to Cale's frantic voice. "Captain Vasquez, we are under attack by another human vessel. Please assist." Chen's fingers flew across the controls, pinpointing Spectre's location. "It's coming from Earth," he reported grimly. "Someone back home is behind this." Vasquez clenched her fists, anger boiling inside her. "Hale," she growled. "I should have known." Alvarez turned to her, determination etched on her face. "Orders, Captain." Vasquez didn't hesitate. "Set course for the Citadel. Maximum speed. If we don't stop them, this war will escalate beyond control." As Aegis raced toward the battle, Spectre unleashed another volley of attacks, targeting the Council's central core. Explosions lit up the void, debris spiraling outward like cosmic confetti. Inside the Citadel, Cale led surviving Council members to an evacuation shuttle, knowing their lives depended on escaping the carnage. When Aegis arrived, the scene was devastating. The once majestic Citadel now resembled a battered fortress, its shimmering spires cracked and darkened. Vasquez ordered Alvarez to target Spectre's engines, disabling it without destroying it entirely. After a tense exchange of fire, Spectre's systems faltered, leaving it adrift. Hale's voice crackled over the comms, defiant even in defeat. "You're making a mistake, Vasquez. They'll never accept us as equals." "This isn't about equality," Vasquez shot back. "It's about survival, for all of us. Your recklessness endangers everything." With Spectre neutralized, Aegis moved to protect the damaged Citadel, ensuring the Council's escape. As the dust settled, Cale contacted Vasquez one last time, his tone weary but grateful. "You have saved us today, Captain," he said. "But know this: trust between our peoples will take far longer to rebuild." Vasquez sighed, staring at the wreckage around her. Humanity's place among the stars had been secured. But at what cost? The aftermath of the attack on the Galactic Council's Citadel left a scar not only in space, but also across humanity. News of the incident spread rapidly, though much of it was distorted by misinformation and propaganda. Governments scrambled to control the narrative, while citizens around the globe grappled with conflicting emotions: fear, pride, anger, and hope. Some hailed Aegis as heroes who had saved Earth from alien domination, while others condemned them for meddling in affairs beyond human understanding. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of Aegis, staring at the glowing remnants of the damaged citadel through the viewport. Her hands rested lightly on the railing, her knuckles white from tension. The weight of what had happened pressed heavily on her shoulders. She had acted to prevent all-out war, but now she faced judgment from both sides, humans and aliens alike. Ambassador Kale appeared on the main screen, his silver form shimmering faintly against the dark backdrop of space. His expression was calm, yet there was an undeniable edge of weariness in his voice. "Captain Vasquez," he began, "you have proven yourself a leader willing to make difficult choices, but your people remain divided. How can we trust humanity when factions within your own species act against unity?" Vasquez met his gaze without flinching. "I can't speak for everyone, Ambassador. All I can do is try to guide us toward a better path. If you want peace, you'll need to help me convince my own kind that cooperation is worth the risk." Kale nodded slowly. "Then let us work together. For now, we will offer provisional aid to stabilize your world. But know this, further aggression will not be tolerated." As the transmission ended, Lieutenant Marcus Chen turned to Vasquez, his face pale. "Provisional aid. That sounds like charity, Captain. Are we really going to accept their help after everything that's happened?" "It's not about pride, Chen," Vasquez replied sharply. "It's about survival. Right now, humanity needs allies more than ever. We're walking a tightrope here, and one wrong step could send us tumbling into chaos." Back on Earth, the situation grew increasingly volatile. General Marcus Hale's betrayal had exposed deep fractures within global leadership. While some nations supported Vasquez's efforts to build bridges with the Council, others sided with Hale's ideology, viewing the aliens as a threat to human sovereignty. Protests erupted in cities worldwide, with crowds chanting slogans ranging from "No to alien rule" to "Unity among stars." Conspiracy theories flourished online, fueled by leaked footage of the battle and speculation about hidden agendas. In secret meetings beneath fortified bunkers, military leaders debated how to respond to the Council's offer of assistance. President Margaret Hayes of the United States addressed a closed-door session of the UN Security Council, her tone urgent. "We cannot afford division at a time like this. Humanity stands on the brink of either greatness or annihilation. If we reject the Council's help, we risk isolating ourselves and inviting further conflict." But not everyone agreed. Leaders from countries skeptical of foreign influence argued that accepting aid would make Earth dependent on alien technology. "They'll use this as leverage," one ambassador warned. "Once they're entrenched in our systems, how will we ever break free?" Amidst the political turmoil, ordinary people struggled to adapt. In remote villages and sprawling metropolises alike, families gathered around televisions and radios, trying to make sense of the unprecedented events unfolding above their heads. For some, the idea of joining a galactic community filled them with wonder. For others, it sparked fear of losing their identity. On Aegis, Vasquez received updates from Earth daily, each report painting a bleaker picture. She knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, not just from outside forces, but from within humanity itself. As she gazed out at the stars, she couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest battles were yet to come. And somewhere in the shadows, rogue factions plotted their next move, determined to shape humanity's destiny on their terms, no matter the cost. The rogue faction, led by General Marcus Hale, had retreated to a remote corner of the galaxy, regrouping aboard their damaged but still formidable vessel, Spectre. Though defeated in their initial assault on the Galactic Council's citadel, Hale remained undeterred. To him, this was merely a setback, a chance to refine his strategy and strike again with even greater precision. He saw himself as humanity's savior, a man willing to do what others deemed unthinkable to secure Earth's place among the stars. Hale's plan was bold and dangerous. Lure Aegis into a trap near a massive black hole known as Erebus Rift. The gravitational pull of the rift would disrupt communications and navigation systems, giving Spectre the upper hand. It was a risky maneuver. Any misstep could send both ships spiraling into oblivion, but Hale thrived on calculated risks. Captain Elena Vasquez received intel about Spectre's location from Ambassador Kale, who had tracked the rogue ship using advanced sensors. The Council offered assistance, but Vasquez declined. This was humanity's fight, and she intended to resolve it herself. With grim determination, she ordered Aegis to set course for Erebus Rift. As they approached the black hole, the crew felt its ominous presence. The void loomed ahead, a swirling maw of darkness surrounded by streaks of light bent by its immense gravity. Lieutenant Marcus Chen monitored the readings nervously. "Captain, the gravitational forces are already affecting our systems. We need to be careful." "We don't have a choice," Vasquez replied, her voice steady despite the tension gripping the bridge. "If we let Hale go unchecked, he'll keep escalating this conflict until there's nothing left to save." Commander Sofia Alvarez stood ready at the weapons console, her fingers hovering over the controls. "He won't expect us to follow him here. That gives us an edge, if we play it right." Suddenly, Spectre emerged from behind a cluster of asteroids, its engines flaring as it positioned itself dangerously close to the rift. Hale's voice crackled over the comms, laced with smug confidence. "Vasquez, you're persistent. I'll give you that. But persistence won't save you now. Stand down, Hale," Vasquez demanded, her tone sharp. "You've done enough damage. If you push this further, you'll doom us all." Hale laughed bitterly. "Doom? No, Captain. What I'm doing is ensuring humanity's survival. The Council sees us as weak, primitive. They'll never treat us as equals unless we force them to respect us. They're not the enemy." Vasquez shot back. "Your recklessness endangers everything we've worked for." But Hale wasn't listening. Spectre unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, forcing Aegis to evade while fighting against the growing gravitational pull. The ship shuddered violently as alarms blared across the cockpit. Chen gripped his seat, sweat beading on his forehead. "Shields are holding, for now. But if we get too close to the rift, we won't escape." Alvarez fired Aegis plasma cannons, targeting Spectre's engines. The first volley missed, pulled off course by the intense gravitational forces. On the second attempt, however, they struck true, disabling one of Spectre's propulsion systems. The rogue ship drifted precariously closer to the black hole. Inside Spectre, chaos reigned. Crew members scrambled to stabilize the vessel, but Hale refused to abandon his mission. "Target their core," he barked, his eyes blazing with fury. "We take them down, or we go out fighting." Vasquez made a split-second decision. She piloted Aegis toward Spectre, using the ship's superior agility to position themselves between Hale's vessel and the rift. Over the comms, she addressed him directly. "This ends now, Hale. Surrender, or I'll drag you away from that rift myself." For a moment, Hale hesitated. Then, with a resigned sigh, he activated Spectre's self-destruct sequence. "If I can't win, then neither will you," he growled before cutting the transmission. "No," Vasquez shouted, realizing his intent. She ordered full reverse thrust, attempting to create distance, but Spectre was too close to the rift. As the countdown reached 0, the ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light, swallowed instantly by the black hole. Aegis barely escaped the shockwave, its crew shaken but alive. Vasquez stared at the swirling void where Spectre had vanished, her heart heavy with sorrow. Hale's extremism had cost him everything, but his actions served as a grim reminder of the dangers lurking within humanity itself. Back aboard the Council's citadel, Kale watched the aftermath unfold, his expression somber. Humanity had proven its strength, but also its capacity for destruction. The question remained, could such a volatile species truly coexist with the rest of the galaxy? The destruction of Spectre marked the end of General Marcus Hale's rebellion, but its echoes reverberated far beyond the Erevis Rift. News of the rogue faction's defeat spread quickly across Earth, carried by fragmented transmissions and hastily assembled reports. Governments struggled to frame the event in a way that would calm public fears while asserting control over an increasingly divided populace. For many, Hale's actions were proof of humanity's dangerous unpredictability. For others, they symbolized defiance against alien oversight. Captain Elena Vasquez returned to Earth aboard Aegis, her crew weary but resolute. The journey back was quiet, each member lost in their own thoughts about what had transpired. Vasquez herself spent hours staring out at the stars through the cockpit viewport, replaying every decision she'd made since leaving Mars. She knew she had done what was necessary, but at what cost? Humanity had stepped into the galactic stage with both hope and hostility, and now it teetered on the edge of chaos. Upon landing, Vasquez was summoned to address a joint session of the United Nations. World leaders gathered in a packed auditorium, cameras flashing as she walked to the podium. Her uniform bore no medals, only rank insignias, yet the weight of her presence filled the room. When she spoke, her voice carried the authority of someone who had faced the unknown and survived. "We stand at a crossroads," she began, her words measured but firm. "General Hale believed humanity could only thrive through dominance. I believe otherwise. We have proven our strength, not just in battle, but in restraint. Now is the time to choose cooperation over conflict, unity over division." Her speech was met with mixed reactions. Some nations applauded her vision, pledging support for integrating humanity into galactic society under the Council's provisional oversight. Others remained skeptical, fearing loss of sovereignty or cultural identity. Protesters outside the UN headquarters chanted slogans like "Earth First" and "No Alien Chains," their banners fluttering in the wind. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council moved cautiously, offering aid and resources to stabilize Earth's fractured governments. Ambassador Kale became a key figure in these efforts, working closely with human representatives to establish guidelines for peaceful coexistence. Yet even he acknowledged the challenges ahead. "Your species is young, passionate, and volatile," Kale told Vasquez during one private meeting. "We admire your resilience, but we cannot ignore your capacity for self-destruction. Trust must be earned and maintained." Vasquez nodded, understanding the gravity of his words. "And you'll need to earn ours. Oversight is one thing. Control is another. If humanity feels stifled, this fragile peace will shatter." Back home, public opinion remained deeply divided. In classrooms and coffee shops, people debated humanity's role among the stars. Artists painted murals depicting Aegis soaring toward alien worlds, while conspiracy theorists claimed the Council sought to enslave humanity. Social media buzzed with hashtags like #GalacticUnity and #HumanIndependence, reflecting the ideological rift widening across the globe. Amidst the turmoil, Vasquez made a personal decision. After months of relentless pressure and sacrifice, she chose to step down from command. Standing before her crew one final time, she addressed them with quiet pride. Aegis was built to protect humanity's future, not dictate it. That future belongs to all of us, to shape, to fight for, to dream about. My job here is done. As she handed over leadership to Commander Sofia Alvarez, Vasquez walked away from the ship that had defined her life for so long. She disappeared into anonymity, leaving behind a legacy of courage and compromise. But even as humanity began integrating into galactic society, whispers of rebellion lingered. Hidden factions vowed to resist alien influence, determined to chart their own course among the stars. And somewhere on a remote colony world, a young engineer pored over stolen blueprints for a new starship, one designed to surpass even Aegis. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what humanity would do next. Years passed, and humanity's place in the galaxy began to take shape. Under the provisional oversight of the Galactic Council, Earth transformed rapidly. Advanced alien technology flowed into human hands, sparking revolutions in medicine, energy, and transportation. Cities once ravaged by pollution thrived with clean air and sustainable infrastructure. Colonies sprang up on distant moons and planets, each one a testament to humanity's resilience and ambition. Yet beneath this veneer of progress, tension simmered. The Council's presence was both a blessing and a burden. While their aid helped stabilize Earth, it also bred resentment among those who saw it as interference. Protests erupted regularly, demanding greater autonomy or outright rejection of alien influence. Some factions embraced cooperation, working alongside Council representatives to build bridges between species. Others retreated into isolationist ideologies, vowing to preserve what they called human purity. The divide grew wider with every passing year. Captain Elena Vasquez, now living quietly under an assumed name, watched these changes unfold from afar. She had chosen exile over fame, believing that humanity needed leaders untainted by her controversial past. But even in solitude, she couldn't escape the weight of responsibility. Late at night, she often stared at the stars through her window, wondering if she had made the right choices. Had she truly secured humanity's future, or merely delayed its reckoning? Meanwhile, Commander Sofia Alvarez commanded Aegis with quiet efficiency, navigating diplomatic missions and peacekeeping operations across the galaxy. Her crew hailed her as a hero, but she carried the scars of their battles against Spectre and the rogue factions that followed. Each mission reminded her how fragile the peace truly was, a delicate balance maintained only through constant vigilance. On a remote colony world orbiting a dying star, a young engineer named Elias Voss worked tirelessly in a cluttered workshop. His hands moved deftly over blueprints stolen from Project Prometheus archives, designs for a new starship far more advanced than Aegis. Dubbed Eclipse, the vessel incorporated not only reverse-engineered alien tech, but also innovations born purely of human ingenuity. To Elias, it represented something greater: freedom. "This isn't about war," he told his small team of like-minded engineers late one evening. "It's about proving we don't need their help to survive out here. Humanity has always found a way to adapt, to overcome. Why should we stop now?" His words resonated deeply with those around him. Many shared his distrust of the Council, viewing their oversight as patronizing rather than protective. Others simply craved independence, yearning to carve their own destiny among the stars. Together, they poured their hearts into building Eclipse, determined to create a symbol of humanity's unyielding spirit. Unbeknownst to them, Ambassador Kale monitored their progress from afar. Through covert channels, he learned of Eclipse's development and the ideals driving its creators. Though concerned by their defiance, he couldn't deny the spark of brilliance behind their work. Humanity's unpredictability, the very trait that once frightened the Council, now intrigued him. "They remind me of us," Kale admitted during a private meeting with other Council members. "When we first ventured into the stars, we were reckless, driven by curiosity and ambition. Perhaps this is humanity's time to grow." But not everyone shared his optimism. Some Council members argued for intervention, fearing Eclipse could destabilize the fragile peace. Others suggested offering alliances, hoping to steer humanity toward cooperation rather than conflict. The debate raged on, mirroring the divisions within humanity itself. As Eclipse neared completion, Elias stood before his creation, gazing at its sleek obsidian hull. It gleamed under artificial lights, exuding power and purpose. For a moment, doubt crept into his mind. Was he pushing too hard, too fast? Could humanity handle such freedom without repeating the mistakes of its past? Then he remembered Hale's words, spoken years ago during the battle at Erebus Rift. "If I can't win, then neither will you." Elias clenched his fists, resolve hardening. Humanity wouldn't bow, not to aliens, not to fear, not to anyone. As Eclipse prepared for its maiden voyage, the galaxy braced itself for whatever came next. And so, amidst hope and uncertainty, humanity stepped boldly into the unknown. Whether their path led to unity or conquest remained unwritten. But one thing was certain: they would write their own story, no matter the cost.